First, international concern mounting over the U.S. plan to end the war in Ukraine. World leaders already saying the 28-point plan favors Russia and needs, quote, additional work. The criticism coming ahead of a Sunday meeting with security officials from the U.S., Britain, France, Germany, and Ukraine. And NewsNation's Libby is live at the White House. Libby, we're already hearing from VP Vance on this, and he's saying that a peace deal cannot be reached in a, quote, fantasy land. Libby, what are we tracking tonight?
Yeah, that's the vice president's message tonight, Natasha, and we're actually learning tonight from a U.S. official, despite reports that Secretary Rubio told senators this was a Russian-authored document, this peace plan. A U.S. official tells NewsNation the exact opposite, that this was authored by the U.S. with input from both sides. This ahead of, we know, tomorrow, the U.S. and Ukrainian delegations meeting face-to-face in Geneva to discuss the U.S. proposed peace plan. And heading into that high-stakes meeting, President Zelensky is warning that accepting this deal could cost Ukraine its alliance with the United States. But President Trump also saying today that this isn't the final offer.
Then he can continue to fight his little heart out.
President Trump setting a Thanksgiving deadline for Ukraine President Zelensky to agree to a U.S. proposed peace plan to end the war in Ukraine. The widely leaked 28-point plan requiring concessions from Ukraine, including granting Russia Ukrainian territory in the eastern Donbas region, cutting back Ukraine's army by half, and having Ukraine agree to not join NATO. Zelensky saying the proposed deal could cause the country to lose the U.S. as an ally.
Now is one of the most difficult moments in our history. Now the pressure on Ukraine is one of the most difficult. Now Ukraine may find itself facing a very difficult choice. Either the loss of dignity or the risk of losing a key partner.
European leaders skeptical, stating the plan has elements essential for a just and lasting peace, but raising concerns about the border concessions and potential limits on Ukraine's army. Vice President J.D. Vance, who has been involved in negotiations, seemingly pushing back on those opposed to the White House plan, stating, quote, there's a fantasy that if we just give more money, more weapons, or more sanctions, victory is at hand. Peace won't be made by failed diplomats or politicians living in a fantasy land. It might be made by smart people living in the real world. So as I mentioned, the U.S. maintaining that it authored this peace plan, not Russia, despite reports of otherwise. Of course, this is ahead of the Ukrainian and U.S. delegations meeting in Geneva tomorrow. We know a lot at stake heading into that meeting, and we also know that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is going to be there for this meeting, and of course, Trump's special envoy, who did also make negotiations in that Israel-Gaza peace deal as well. He'll be on the ground there. A lot at stake heading into this, and a source telling NewsNation that these negotiations are going to, quote, move very quick. But we know that President Trump has set that Thanksgiving deadline, but even the president seeming to walk that back today when he said this wasn't the final offer. So we'll see how this develops. But a high-stakes meeting tomorrow in Geneva.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.